During my travels across the flatlands, I've come across two small villages right beside each other. The two villages, despite being very close together, were in need of transportation, and so they enlisted my help to build them a tramway. And I would like to show you the way in which I built their engines, rolling stock, and maybe even some of their facilities. Today we will be taking a look at the 040 vertical boilers. Now, the resources you're going to need are all of these. And this is meant to be a creative world build, by the way. So if you're expecting it to work in survival, then you're going to have to make some modifications. First, you're going to want to place down a train station like this one onto a piece of track, and hit Create New Train. Take a train casing, and press left Alt while looking just in any direction. It'll bring up this menu. Now this only works with the extended bogies mod. I do have to mention that. Go hover over this little thing that says Standard Styles, and go to Double Axles, and select short, it's not small, short 040 driver. And using the train casing, right-click the bit of track that is highlighted in blue. Now you have your bogie. You're going to want to take the black slashed locometal and the polished blackstone slab. And first, build out the running board. In the middle, you're going to want to use the black slashed locometal, and do the other side of the running board. On the very ends of the running board, make these blocks full blocks instead of slabs. I'm going to take your ladder, your andesite ladder more preferably, place them on these full blocks. So now there's a way to get up to the running board from the ground. Now you're going to want to take your copycat panel, your copycat headstock, and all the other copycat headstocks with the buffer and the screw-link coupler. Now, if your world has American basis locomotives, you're preferably going to want to use the knuckle coupler or other types of couplers, but this is specifically meant to be a more British basis. You want to place those like so on both ends, with the screw-link coupler in the middle. You won't be needing those for the rest of the build. Now, and this is a little weird, since this has to be done considering the way that the track in Create Mod is designed and functions. You're going to want to break this block, and you're going to want to break this one. Now, this won't break the locomotive or the chassis, so you don't have to worry about that, and what you're going to do is dig a hole in the ground, like so. Take your copycat headstock, the blank one, place one here like so, one here like so, so it's one block ahead, but facing this direction, and one right here. And once you're done with that, you can fill back in the ground. And you're going to want to do that on the opposite side. Now, it is a little tough to see through the piston here, so I recommend doing this side first to get a feel for it. Or you could also flip the bogie around. That's resizing it, sorry. You could also flip the bogie around in case it's blocking. Now, about the bogie flipping, and I'm going to say this now before I forget. When you actually assemble the locomotive, the bogie will flip itself automatically depending on which way it's facing. This is a bug and not a feature, and I don't know if there's even a solution to it without the creators of the mod themselves actually fixing it. You're going to want to take the gray seat and the train controls. Place the gray seat on either end like so. You're going to want to place your train controls here, facing this direction, and here, facing this direction. I'll explain that when we get to operating the engine. Take a lantern, and this is a little odd, but place it right here. This is so that the engine is this is so that the inside of the cab is illuminated, regardless of whether or not you put up lights on the cab roof or on the engine. It'll keep the engine illuminated, so you're not just in the dark the entire time, because there's not much space for lights elsewhere. You want to surround that in copycat panels, like so, and do that one block higher. Take your black Locometal smoke box and paste that onto here, and click again so that it is rotated, like so, and do it again so that it is rotated, like so. So now it looks like you have a nice little boiler. Now, on this end, on one end, preferably facing a seat, place a smoke box like so that the front end is facing outwards, or the front end is visible. It uses the front texture. This is the firebox. This is where the door to the firebox would go. And simply repeat on all sides the same method as used on the normal side. And now you have a nice little boiler. Take a piece of black slashed Locometal and put it right there. Now for the walls. Simply take your copycat panel, hold crouch, and click the seat. Or you can just click on top of the headstocks, although that can be a little tricky. And place it like so, on both ends. And you're going to want to do the same thing for the sides of the cab, except you're going to want to make it one block higher. And repeat on the other end. Now, take your polished black stone slab and make a neat little row right here. Take your copycat panel and finish the roof off. You're going to take your coal burner smokestack, break this middle block, and place on top of the black slashed Locometal this. Once you've done that, you can dye it whatever color you find fit. I preferably like to use light gray dye. The white dye actually changes the way that the smoke emits from the funnel. I'm not sure why, but it does. And now, the last step is to fill in the copycat panels. Now you can choose whatever colors you like, but for the cow catchers specifically, I prefer using the plated Locometal. It gives it that nice look, it gives it the nice look of a cowcatcher. Very nice. Take one color of your choosing, fill in the headstocks. Take your other color of choosing, and fill in the lower half here of the walls. Like so. Take the ornate iron window, or a window type of your choice, and on the ends of the cab walls, place them like so. And for the middle window, just use a piece of glass of your choosing. And finally, for the roof, take one last look at your black slashed Locometal. Why is it? As I was saying, take one last look at your black slashed Locometal and fill in the roof. And with that, our engine is complete. But there's one last step before we can actually run it. Take a random block, does not matter what that block is, and place them like so, still attached to the engine, of course. Take the super glue tool, and what you're going to want to do is take these ends don't rapidly click it like I just did. Click it once, and simply go over to the other end, like so, and remove those temporary blocks. Now, what we've done here is we've superglued the engine so that all the blocks that we've placed down are now part of the chassis, and are now going to move with it. And finally, assemble your train. Now, since we have deleted the tracks here, we will need to now put those back. But now we have our engine. Now, in operating the locomotive, the nice thing about our controls here is that if we wanted to go one direction, say in this direction, we can simply choose this controller, and now we can move in that direction. However, the way that the controls function is that if you try to go backwards, your speed is greatly reduced. So if you want to go faster backwards, you can select the other train controller in the other end of the engine, since you can still access it. And now the train thinks that you're now driving this direction instead of this direction. And so when you press W, you go in this direction. And you can just do that. And that's the 040 Tram engine. Now, before I leave you, I do want to share with you this. This design is, as far as I can tell, incredibly malleable. You can turn this thing into basically anything you want. You can add as much as you want, or just strip it down to its bare components, and it still works. This one, it's a little ugly, but I still love it. This one is just so overwhelming, but I still love it. You can do whatever you want with this design, and it'll still look pretty decent. Like, just do what you want with this design. Hell, you can even take out the boiler and make it an electric tram if you want, if you really want that, if, like, you don't have any steam-propelled vehicles on your railway. If you have some cool modifications or new designs for this basis that you want to share, like, post it on YouTube and at me in, like, a post or a video or something if you ever get around to doing that. I really like to, if you ever follow this tutorial, I'd really like to see what you guys make. Anyways, thank you for watching through this. Thank you for watching through the video if you did. And hopefully this was useful to you, whether you are going to use this exact design for your world, or it gives you inspiration to build your own sort of design.